Hey friends, welcome back to Homeschoolology. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Nikki. I'm a homeschooling mom of 4. I've currently got a 9th grader, 5th grader, 1st grader, and kindergartner. And on this channel, I like to talk mostly about secular homeschooling, but I also talk about motherhood and traveling and all kinds of other things and just sharing our lives in general. So if that sounds good to you, I hope you will come along. Today's video, I'm going to be creating a unit plan and bringing you guys along for that entire process. So you can see what I do, how I do it, and then it's kind of going to be like a two-parter because the first part I'm going to share like all the research and what I did and how I broke it down, and then in the second part I'm going to show you how I put it in my homeschool planner. So if any of that interests you, let's dive in. Alright, so step 1 of planning a unit study is picking a subject. Most of the time I let my kiddos choose the subject, what they want to learn about. This typically goes, like I typically do unit studies for science and history. Like those are our main topics where we pull things from. And then we add in other elements of other subjects to our unit studies to make them kind of like well-rounded unit studies. And where we're hitting some things like language arts and my kids don't realize we're hitting that. So, but I usually let my kiddos pick the main topic because children are always going to learn better about things that they're, when they're interested in what they're learning about. So this unit study that I'm going to be talking to you guys about is the Salem Witch Trials. And since it's October, spooky season, it's just the perfect time to start this unit study. We've already started, and so far, so good. Step 2 is going and finding books, okay? We love learning through books. And so that is always my step 2 is what books am I going to use? And so these are the 2 main course books that we chose. We absolutely love this History Smashers series, and this is the newest book in that series, which was just perfect timing. So I picked this up, and then I always like to add in the who was, what was a series, because it's just really good information, short and sweet, easy to read. And then we like doing both of these together because this one tends to be more like the normal recorded history of what, like is the standardized, accepted stuff, and this one sometimes debunks what this one says. And so it's fun to kind of do these together to see because this one is looking at the real actual history, not whitewashed, not, it's adding in all kinds of different elements. And so it's really interesting when you do both of these together, that sometimes every once in a while, I'm not saying all the time, but every once in a while you'll find something in here that contradicts what it says in here. So, and that's always a really good topic of discussion and things like that. So, we usually always use these 2. Now this is if you're doing a history unit. So if you're doing a science unit, obviously you're not going to have a History Smashers, but there are other books. There's normally a who, what, was book and some other, and then in those cases we tend to use a lot of resource books, and I have many of those already on hand. So those were the main 2 that I picked up, and so I picked up this one, but it's a graphic novel, so it's like a super quick and easy read. So that one I picked up as well. And then I always like to pick up something kind of like fun. So this one is the I Escaped series. And it's just more of like a storybook and just kind of like a more fun read. And so I like to pick that up as well. So that's typically kind of where I start. And then I try to think about how can I pull in other aspects of learning to go along with this. So in this case, I chose to do a book study on the Crucible. And so that is what we are doing with my oldest. But since this is kind of more high school level, I went ahead and also picked up The Witch of Blackbird Pond, which is another popular for younger aged, it's a high schoolers would still enjoy this book. It's a great book. But my younger daughter, my middle daughter, is reading this one, and my older daughter will be doing this one. Then I usually go over to Teacher Pay Teachers, unless I have ideas, because sometimes I have ideas, especially when it's science. I kind of know what I want to do. But then I will go over to Teacher Pay Teachers, and I'll pull that up in a minute and show you. But I will find some kind of something that I can utilize that can provide activities. So we like to read and do an activity, not necessarily like every single day, but some, I try to have something that they can do that goes along with what we're reading about. So I left that over there, so I'm gonna go grab it real quick. So off the top of my head, I don't know who these are from, but when I jump over onto the computer to show you that, I will share what shops I got these from. But there's a shop on Teacher Pay Teachers that has all these like color by numbers. And what it is it gives you, you do a pre and post reading to check your knowledge. And then you have an article, there's an article that you read, and then you answer these questions. And when you answer the question, it tells you how to color in your sheet. And these have just been really popular around here. So I always make sure if they have one, I pick one up for our unit studies. And it's just like a good, like, you could either use this as like an introduction activity or like a recap activity. In this case, I planned it as a recap activity. And then I also found this student workbook to go along with the Crucible. So it's like a study guide for the Crucible, and I actually really love this. So I'm going to share the shop when I jump over here, but they have several. My only downside is there's no like teacher manual, so like there's no answers or anything to it, but it's pretty self-explanatory. And what I really love is that they provided QR codes for like the book on tape, or what am I trying to say? The read aloud, the audio book. That's what I'm trying to say. And they even have the link to the book here, so you don't even have to buy the book if you don't want to. My daughter likes having a physical book in her hand. I'm going to jump over to the computer, show you how I broke it down, or show you Teacher Pay Teachers, show you how I broke it down, and then show you how I'm going to put it into my homeschool planet. So this is the Crucible unit that I found. That's like the interactive notebook-ish kind of. But you can see it's all these different activities. They have a preview, the whole nine yards. It's $8, and so I figured for $8 it was worth it. I really like this Weird Sisters Teach. I will link this for you guys, but they have several novel unit studies that I thought were really cool. So again, the only thing I don't love is that there's no like teacher guide on the one that I purchased, but it is what it is. So that is the one for the Crucible that I found. So here is that color by number activity that I found, that it was $4. It's Think Tank that makes these, and we've used several of theirs, so I'll link this shop down below as well. And then I totally forgot that I bought this one. That's the Salem Witch Trials Mystery Activity from History Gal for $4.25, and it's like a little activity, like you solve the case. And so I will have to squeeze this in to my unit plan since I forgot about it. So, but this one would be, I think, really fun for the girls to do together. So this is super rough, guys. This is literally how I start. So I said we're going to read chapter 1 of each of the books and do the anticipation guide, page 3. Chapter 2, page 4, chapter 3, page 5. This day I just did as a makeup. Oh my heavens, that was bad. Okay. So this is just makeup day. So I like to kind of factor those in sometimes, because that way if like we haven't done something or we haven't finished something, like we don't have to stop what we're doing and finish. We can keep going, but have, time to make it up. And then on day 11 is the day we're going to do that coloring activity, and then we're going to jump into our reading. And I split it up, the reading, and have the guide pages to go along with it, and then we're going to watch the movie and then probably do the activity. I might add one more day to the end or something. We're going to do that one activity that I forgot about. So I just give it like a rough draft of this, and then I will put it into my homeschool planet. And so the first time I tried to film this, it did not go well. Watching it back was a disaster. So I decided to try it again and see if I can make it a little bit more concise, and I'm using a different screen capture. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go, this is my main calendar. I'm going to go here and go to lesson plans. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and hit create my own lesson plan. So I'm going to call this the Salem Witch Trials demo, because I have already done it and already put it in and tried to film all that, and it just did not go well. So anyways, we're going to be doing this 3 days a week. So I'm going to select that here, and then I am going to go to these tabs. So there's a bunch of tabs here. I'm going to tell you what they are and what you can do in them and all of that good stuff. But the first thing we're going to do is create assignments. And so I like to use this assignment generator. You can just go and type them all in, but I like to try to save myself a little bit of time. Now, if I'm being honest, it doesn't always save you time, but I like to try by selecting this assignment generator. I did try farting around with some of these other ones, but really this is kind of my favorite one and the one that I use like every time. And it's creating a reoccurring pattern. Like every once in a while I'll use one of these, but this is better if you're just kind of like repeating the same thing over and over again. This one is better if you want to kind of like say like one day we do this, and then the next day we do this, and then the next day we do this, and then we just repeat that over and over and over again. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to hit next. And so then I have to decide how many repetitions I want. All right, so now what I've done is I've opened up the Word document, and so I'm going to say after 10 repetitions, I'm done. And so I'm going to say, oh, okay, but here's the deal. Because we're doing it 3 days a week, it's not actually 10 repetitions, okay? So it's really, so it's really 3 point whatever, a third repetitions. So I'm actually going to put in 4 repetitions because I don't want it to leave off that 10th one. So I'm going to put in 4 repetitions here. And you'll see why I do that in a minute. Because if it was 1 day a week, then it would be 10 repetitions. But because it's 3 days a week, I'm dividing that 10 by 3 to give me 3, but I want one more because that only gives me 9. So then I'm going to hit the next button. And then I am going to now, let me show you one thing before I forget. One mistake that I've made. It says, what week do you want this to begin on? I was thinking like school week. And that's not what you want to do here. This is not where you do this. This is just creating the lesson plan. So you always want to say that this starts on week 1. Because if you don't start on week 1, then it's going to get all messed up. So that's always week 1. And this is however many repetitions you're going to have. Hit next. And then here it is going to give me the days. And so on day 1, we're going to read chapter 1 of, actually, let me do it this way. We have the History Smashers chapter. And then if I use these little fancy brackets, it's going to count for me. And then I want to do more on that day. So I'm going to come over here to the options that says more, and I'm going to go down to add another assignment. And then we're also going to read the Who, What book. And it's going to be chapter 1 as well. Oops. And then one more, add an assignment. And this is where I'm going to say, oops, let me go back up here. Anticipation guide on page 3. So I'm just going to say workbook page. I have to repeat this for all 3 days for it to continue for the computer to learn the pattern that I want it to follow. So I'm going to take a second and redo all that here. All right, so now I have entered in my pattern for all 3 days of the week. Okay, so you have to do the whole week, whether you have 1 day a week or 5 days a week. You have to do every day of the week, or it won't give the system enough information to understand what you're trying to ask it to do. So that's what I have done here. I'm going to scroll down here and check to make sure everything is the way that I want it. So I want History Smashers, chapter 1, chapter 2, or chapter 1, page, chapter 1, 2, chapter 2, page. So that's all that I put in, and then I'm going to go down here and check, and as you can see, oopsie daisies, we have a problem. This is jumping to chapter 5. So I'm going to need to add another day to this pattern to make it learn that it needs to be. So basically, you just have to give the system enough info that it understands what pattern you're trying to create. I've put in another day of the pattern to tell it, nope, this is what I want you to do. So now we're going chapter 4 and it jumps to chapter 6. So again, not what I want. So I'm going to need to add another day. I think what might be messing it up here is the fact that I'm putting a workbook number in. I'm just going to take that out. And then we have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6, chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, I only have 10 chapters, but I didn't want to leave off that one. So I have these, and I'll go and show you how I delete them. But this is what I want it to be. This is what I want it to look like. This is what I want it to look like. That Southern accent, man, it comes out every once in a while. But I'm going to hit OK. I forgot one thing. It is so much easier to go ahead and put in your grading category here so that it puts it in so you don't have to do it every single time. I'm not going to grade the reading, but I do want to grade the workbook as homework. That is, now I'm good. Now I'm going to hit OK. And then we're going to see what this little pop-up says. We'll generate 36 assignments. And then we're going to say OK. And then I am going to scroll back over here. And this is where I'm going to go in and add my refined details. So this is page 3. On day 11. So here now I don't want anything the rest of this. So I'm going to come down here and say remove this assignment because I don't want this one. And then I'm just going to change day 11 to say that we're doing the this one. We're doing the Witch Trials coloring activity. So I don't need this one either. So I'll remove this. And then on day 12, we are going to be removing one of them because I don't need both. Remove this assignment. And then we are going to read page 3 through 17 of our Crucible book. What I'm going to do here is go up to assignment generator. I'm going to have this time, you remember how I said we're going to do the reoccurring pattern. And you remember how I said you always want it to start on week 1? Well, in this case, I want it to start on week 5. And then I don't know how many repetitions. So we're just going to say, I think it's like 5. And then if we, I'll delete whatever ones I don't want. And then I'm going to hit next. And then this is going to be Crucible read page. That's all I want it to say, and I'll go in and put them in, and then I'm going to add another assignment, and it's going to say workbook page, and I'll go in and add those. So I'm going to do that same thing to day 2 and day 3. So now, see, this is where I could have put it as a certain number of assignments, but this is what I like to do. I kind of just get in a work or in a rhythm, and it's what works and it's what I'm going to do. So I wanted this to be another assignment. So I could do this, and you can see it generated all of these assignments down here, and then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll down some more, and I'm going to hit OK. Yes, make them all the same. Yes, go ahead and add those. Okie dokie. So we are back here. My first 4 weeks were already done. Okay, and then I'm going to come here and do, so we were at 3 to 17. Then this one is going to be 18 to 34. This is going to be the activity that I forgot about, which is, I'm just going to call it mystery activity. So I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to remove this one and this one as well, because that is all that I have. So if I wanted to grade all this stuff, I'm going to have to go back and do it as every single one individually, which is why I like to try to do the bulk. And I totally forgot. I should have hit that when I was doing the bulk. As I said, since this one isn't my real one, I'm not going to go and do that, but I would do that now if I needed to. Also, something that I forgot to do that I should have done when I was doing the bulk was added a resource. Okay, so this here, I can say assign a resource or upload a file or use a website link. And I actually have a website link to the book being read. And so I should have done that there when I was putting in the bulk assignments, because then it would have put it in on everything. But since I didn't, that's okay. I would put the link here, and the title I would say read or audiobook. I don't know why I can never remember audiobook. And then I would put in the link. I'm just going to pretend that this is the right link. It's not, but you know, you get the drift. And then open it in a new browser is what I like to do. Although you could just do it as a pop-up window, because it's just audio in this case. But you would hit save, and then that resource is going to show up on your schedule, and it will show up on your schedule, and you can just click it. So sometimes if you open this, you'll see it like this and you're like, oh my gosh, where did all of those things go? But if it has a plus sign right here, you'll know that it has a resource attached to it. So don't panic, because I definitely panicked one time. All right, so let's talk about all these other tabs. Here's notes you could put in. So if you don't want it to have a checkbox, but you want it to be on that day, this is where you would put that information in. But I like having everything have a checkbox, because, you know, my kids get the satisfaction from clicking on that. So I don't really use this notes feature very much. If you put in any assignments, then you are going to have to say, you know, like you're going to have to make the breakdown, and it has to equal 100, or it won't let you create the lesson plan. So as you can see, this now equals 100. For a description, if I had a course description that I wanted to put in here, I can either upload it or type it out right here. Like you can type right in this box, or here if you need to track hours, you would click this. I use the class method, and this was recommended to me by Robin from Homeschool Planet. I guess I don't need this anymore, so I'm going to open this back to a big window here. So I usually do this one because then it's just one time that you have to record the time, rather than if you do it on here, each and every checkbox is going to have a time next to it that you're going to have to do to check off. And then if I wanted a resource that came up every single time, so let's just say this website, I want it to come up every single time, I would put that here. And then you can say from one week to another week and then change it. So back over there, you know, like I didn't need that audiobook until week 5. So what I could do is on this resource, put in the audiobook and then put week 5 to the ending or whatever it was, week 10. And then it will only show on those days. So that's a good way. If you forget to put it in when you're doing that bulk organization, you can come and do it here. So options, I hardly ever use this tab. Okay, I never really come over here, but it creates a class, show the class on those days. If no assignment, don't show the class. I should probably click that because I hate having the little box that I have to delete. But so maybe I should come over here and do this. But anyways, that's all you have to do. And then all you do once you have it all set up the way that you want is you hit save and close. Now you will see that it populates in your lesson plan database, I guess is the best way to say it. So then what you're going to do is hit apply lesson plan. I always create a new class. I tried like putting 2 different assignments in the same class, and I just did not like the way it looked. I couldn't move things around independently that way. And so I just, even though like reading and Sentence Island and all those kinds of things fall under the language arts umbrella, I still like to keep them as all separate classes. It might make your screen look a little cluttered, but then I can move things around as I see fit. And then so I always hit create a new class. Next, all assignments I want to include. You can, if you want to only include certain assignments, say you know this lesson plan, you're starting midway and you only want to do where you left off from. So you only want to do from week 2 on. You can do that. And it'd be just the one assignment or the assignments that you need. But since we want the whole thing, I'm going to leave it all clicked here. I'm going to hit back and just say create a new class and all assignments in the class. And then I'm going to hit next. This is technically history. And so I would put it under there, and then I would say next. And then I'm going to apply it to myself so that I don't mess up any of my kids' stuff. So the remainder of this school year, you can do next school year. You can pick different dates. I want this to be 3 days a week. So I'm going to say Monday, Tuesday, Friday, or Monday, Thursday, Friday, because that's the days that we typically do it. You can choose a time. We're not those kind of people here. So we always say no particular time, and I hit next. This suggests grading. Do you want to set the grading up? So say I'm doing this for a kid that I don't need to grade. I can just click no, and it won't set the grading up. But if I do want it, I have to say yes. But I'm going to say no for this right now, and I'm going to hit OK. Your lesson plan has been added. Okie dokie. So there it is. What I'm going to do is show you just me, and you can see here it is. Because I put the rest of the school year, it's starting on a Thursday because that's the day that I'm filming this. But then here is everything that I need. I'm going to jump ahead a few weeks. Okay, so here is where I would have added that audiobook. It says exercises because that's what I added, but this is where I would have added the audiobook. Anything you see as double arrows is going to be your resource link. So that would be right there. But as you can see, it's all in, it's all populated, it's all ready to go. This is where I record time. So I estimated that it would take about 30 minutes, but she can adjust based on how long it actually took her. And yeah, so that is how I put it into my homeschool planner. So that is how I build a unit study. So yes, it takes me a little bit of prep time, but now that I have it all figured out, all loaded into my homeschool planet, I am ready to go, and I don't have to think about it anymore. Yes, it takes a little bit of prep work, but it's worth it because my kids enjoy it and they do it without complaint, and they're learning, and they are learning things that they don't like learning without knowing that they're learning those things. So it's worth it to me to spend a little bit of time and do the work and have a unit study ready to go. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them down below. Do you create unit studies? Do you have a unit study company that you love using? Share down below, because it is helpful to not only me, but also the community, the Homeschoolology community here. And so please share if you have something that is worth sharing. And don't forget, you can always check us out over on Instagram at Homeschool-ology. And while you're down making all those wonderful comments, I hope you would hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to come back and chat with me again real soon. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.